And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are on to the last game of the day. It is I already forgot. Muddy just said it. Sunbeam Dream Team versus Beast Coast. SBDT.
I'm
Nice.
gonna go with Sunbeam versus Beast. Just sounds a little bit easier.
Yeah. Sunbeam Dream Team, of course, as you just heard, is the team that our founder and overlord Muddy Mudkip has made. Composed of a bunch of old past players for this tournament. Link Style, Black Death 10, Naxo, RDX, and Disparity on Sunbeam. In the red corner, we have uh, not quite a new team, but not really an old team either. It used to be Westside, who actually ended up winning last week due to a forfeit. Returned with a few new members and few old ones as well.
Sorry about that. So on the red side, we have Bong of Destiny. Very nice name. Got Ye Hulk, I Buzzy, Spiketown Sid, and Clock. So 3 members of West Side returning to make the new team Beast Side. So we'll see how these 2 new members do for them. We see Tryndamere, Nunu, and Elise being banned out for Sunbeam. Blitzcrank, Thresh, and Ari being banned out for Beast. Ari obviously being targeted again at RDX, almost never letting that through. Nasus being insta-locked by Link Style.
Yeah, and I kind of want to talk again about Beast's bans real quick. The double hook bans that they used to ban out as Westside all the time were actually because of their old support player JKL30. They actually quoted him as being the one who really could handle them in bot lane. So I'm surprised to see both of those still banned. They either won it with their strategy or something. Ari, as you said, of course, directly targeted at RDX as not necessarily a new player, but a new team lineup. He is potentially in the mid lane, so they don't want to really give him that chance of having his really the one champion he's known with carrying every game he gets in this tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. Only a few games where RDX has gotten that RA and absolutely decimated almost every time he's gotten it. We see Vayne and Janna being hovered over for Sunbeam here, probably going to be locking into that. Vayne having a pretty strong laning phase. Draven also really has a pretty strong laning phase too. I think he can actually outdamage Vayne for quite a fair amount of time, especially with the Sona as a support, whereas Janna can actually shield a little bit of that damage and give her an AD boost. So I'm kind of curious to see how this lane goes. I've never actually seen it personally.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty good pick. It's not necessarily to counter the Draven and Sona, because like you said, both of those champions able to put out a lot of early game damage. Sona with her Q and power chord, Draven, of course, with his spinning axe, and the passive now that has been nerfed on him. Not quite a lot of bleed damage, but the Vayne Janna is as close of a counter as you can get to it, because you have a little bit of displacement. You have Janna to interrupt Draven's movement, so he can't continue to juggle his axes. Condemned from Bane knocks him out of that as well, and as you said, the shield just to mitigate any poke damage that comes out.
Now we see Nautilus and Morgana being hovered over now. A lot of lockdown potential that's coming out from Beast's side here with the Nautilus, all of the CC that just comes out of him. Morgana's Dark Binding as well as Soul Shackles that can lock down a single target or even an entire enemy team. We see Disparity hovering over Jungle Heimerdinger, promising us that he was going to do it, but pretty sure that's not what's going to happen. But we'll see what they decide to do.
If memory I'm hoping my memory doesn't fail me here, because I don't think I've ever seen Spiketown sit on anyone but Morgana since he started joining West Side and now Beast Coast.
I think he played Diana once, but don't quote me on that.
Yeah, but I mean, I've always quoted him for like a couple of great Soul Shackles and some really bad ones as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That ultimate can really be a defining moment, especially in very large team fights. If he can get a good amount of players caught in that, they're either forced to flash, disengage, split up, or they're going to get stuck in it and take a huge amount of burst damage. With all of the lockdown, with the crescendo, with all of Nautilus's abilities, comboed in with all of Morgana's abilities too.
Yeah, and he has a lot of members on his team really backing that up. The crescendo and to some degree stand aside keeps people really from getting away. It's a slow and it's a little bit of a knock. It's a weird knockback because it's a knock aside.
Yeah,
you know how it works.
Yeah, pushes people off to the side a little bit, and then to get a little bit of a slow on top of that. So combat in with all of the abilities, they have a lot of potential to just lock down even the entire enemy team if they can land their abilities properly.
Yeah, and they also have the damage to follow it up with, especially with that Draven in there. And we'll see who they pick last. Kha'Zix and Zac locked in now. A lot of jumping around there. Elastic slingshot, and actually forget. I always forget Kha'Zix's jump ability
I think
name.
it's just called Leap. Pretty
Leap.
sure it's just called Leap, yeah.
Leap. More AoE lockdown now. Clock hovering over that Wukong again. That Cyclone just keeps knocking up people into the air. Depth Charge, it's just like in there. They're going for the Wombo combo. Throw one ult on top of the other, press R to win. And now that I think about it, it's pretty much all that West Side or Beast Coast, I suppose. Now, it's all they play. They've done poke comps in the past, and we've seen it both ways. It's worked awesomely, and it's fallen flat on its face.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
now
But
they're back to the
sorry.
press R to win composition, and they've thrown everything they can at it. They're hoping for just to catch a good crescendo or good soul shackles to lock as many people down, and then let good Hulk just wail away at them with the spinning axes.
I do want to talk a little bit about Sunbeam's composition. So we do have a Vayne, so we do have that late game hyper carry damage output. We have a Nasus, so he's going to be fairly tanky, going to have a good amount of damage. We got the Janna for the disengage, and it works pretty well against her composition. They have a lot of AoE lockdown. Janna's pretty good against that with her ultimate to be able to blow everybody away out of that and keep her team alive. But then we have the Kha'Zix, and I find this to be a really interesting pick into this composition. Kha'Zix is a very squishy assassin whose job is to jump into the back line and try and destroy single targets. Whereas Beast has a super tanky front line and a lot of peel ability to keep people off their back line. So I'm kind of curious about how this Kha'Zix pick is going to work.
It's I would say it's actually a decent pick, especially because of I would say Morgana. Generally, what you look for against something like Morgana is physical damage, because that shield of hers only works against magic, and it also only works against crowd control as well. So if you throw in a composition that doesn't necessarily have a lot of CC, but it has a lot of physical damage, like Nasus, it's a jungle Nasus. The siphoning strike isn't going to get stacked up too much over time, but if the game goes actually really late, and they'll want it to with the Vayne in there, you're going to end up having a lot of physical damage coming out of pretty much everyone except Disparity on Zac.
Yeah, absolutely. And it looks like it'll be a top lane Zac here. Probably going to build maybe a little bit of AP, but I'm expecting a pretty much full tank Zac to be coming out of here. So a lot of CC going to be coming out for him there. Able to keep a good front line for that Vayne who can just stay in the back with their percent max health true damage. And probably if they can keep their team fight and they can keep their positioning, they can absolutely melt through Beast composition.
Yeah, and they're also going to have to rely on Naxo being in just the right place to land that monsoon, just to disengage as quickly as they can, just to interrupt all the combo that Beast is going to try to put on top of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Beast has got that wicked wombo combo composition here with pretty much the press R to win composition. So much lockdown, so much damage that can come out. Really, another team comp that really depends on how well they can land their ultimates.
And I apologize in advance because I've already made this slip up just sitting here in Champion Select for calling them West Side. Because
Yeah, I'm gonna probably end up doing that a few times too.
because we've been so used to seeing them in the tournament so far. They've been actually in every single tournament to this date for us now in our fifth week. Didn't manage to actually win any until last week, which was unfortunately a forfeit. But yeah, my tongue is going to slip at some point. I'm
I'm
gonna,
sure. I'm sure the audience knows what we're talking about. I'll try. I'll try my best to keep calling them Beast Coast, though.
or my tongue might even slip and say Beast Side or something.
Yeah.
Because I think it was like prior to today, they had actually entered the tournament as East Side or something
Yeah,
like
that
that.
was their original name, and now they've changed it with a little lowercase b right before all of it.
It's close. It's close enough. Beast Coast.
Close it up.
It's
So
like
we are going to be getting into the loading screen here in just 2 moments, and we'll be getting into the skin intimidation factor, as we always love to do.
skin intimidation aside. What do you think we'll see from these teams around the early levels,
In terms of skins or like actual gameplay?
like actual gameplay?
Actual gameplay. Okay. I would say that Beast Coast is a little bit of a better level 1 That's just my opinion. They have a lot of CC with Nautilus's passive. If he chooses to level Dredge Line, he can lock down a guy for a pretty decent amount of time for a level 1 CC engage. Um, they have a decent amount of damage with Draven spinning Axe. Morgana can get the Dark Binding down. Wukong probably going to get his E first, but we'll see. They do have a lot of damage. We could see a potential invade, whereas let's see, Sunbeam does have a little bit of a weaker level 1. They might not look to go too aggressive into the early game.
Yeah, and it's kind of a little bit of a. It's almost contradictory for their team comp right here. They have a lot of champions. I'm talking about Sunbeam right here that scale really well into the late game, but then I'm seeing the Kazakhs, and it's a good champion just because of what it's against, but it doesn't really work entirely well with the comp. Especially, I don't know if this is still true with the recent changes to Kazakhs, like shifting the damage from his spikes or into his Q, I believe. Yeah, anyway, um, he's known for like going in at level 2 and 3, just flat out engage you, maybe start with a fort pot and just pop as much damage onto you and get that early advantage if he can. It doesn't feel like it works quite as great with this late game comp here. It'll help to like keep, and I'm expecting that to be a mid Kazakhs because that's a lane Zach probably going up top against Wukong. But I expect him to do that. Just keep Spiketown sit in his lane, prevent him from roaming. Because what Morganas tend to do, they like to push out their lane because I believe it's Tormented Soil is the ability that
Yes.
it melts minion waves, especially like around level 7 to 9. Because that's don't quote me on this. I don't play Morgana, but I'm pretty sure it's generally maxed first just
Yes.
for like lane pushing. And then you go out, roam, look for ganks with soul shackles and dark bindings, and Kha'Zix is again going to work against that. Not just because of the physical damage, but it also, if he can establish that early dominance in the level 2 or 3 combo, then he's just going to keep Spiketown sit there.
Yeah, absolutely. We do see there was a recent change to Kha'Zix's Void Spikes, especially the evolution now. A lot of players kind of tend to stray away from evolving that first now. So you don't get that humongous AoE wave clear that we used to see Kha'Zix being able to do with a single W taking out all 6 minions. So we'll just see what build route he decides to go on this one. And we are getting into the game here, guys, and an immediate pause coming out. Okay, I apologize.
Yes.
We're not getting into the game.
Yeah, sorry to get you out there. It looks like Black Death 10 is the one who is disconnecting, having some issues. It looks like he'll just have to reload real quick here, and we'll get back in shortly. Yeah.
Back to the Kha'Zix, I do want to say though, in terms of the composition, it is a little bit interesting because what's her name? Team name? Sunbeam. I'm gonna have to keep looking back at my piece of paper. Sunbeam has got that really kind of tanky front composition, able to protect the Vayne, kind of that peel for Vayne composition. Let her do all the damage, and we're just gonna stay alive and trying to take up as much damage for her as we can. Whereas Kha'Zix is that I don't care who's my backline, I'm going in, I'm getting kills. So
yeah, and
kind of an interesting choice.
Now that I look at it, it's taken me a while to realize this, but I mentioned earlier how like the Vayne Janet is kind of against that Draven. I didn't really notice as much how much the rest of Sunbeam's comp is also kind of working against that Draven. You have Nasus especially. The movement speed and attack speed slow is just going to, if not slow down his damage, it's definitely going to, I mean, it's of course going to reduce his damage, but it's very likely to interrupt his juggling ability as well. He's not going to be able to keep those axes in the air, and he's just going to drop them left and right as long as a wither is on him. Zac as well is just in there. He keeps you bouncing up all over the place with him, and as long as Disparity can stay on top of Hulk, Hulk isn't going to be able to catch any of those axes ever.
Yeah, absolutely. It is going to be really tough for him in his team fighting phase. Whereas in the laning phase, it should be a little bit easier during the first few levels. Draven and Sona definitely have a lot more early game damage output than a Janna and Vayne can possibly put out. So we'll see probably a more passive lane coming out from Sunbeam in the bottom, whereas a lot more aggression will probably be coming out from Beast Coast.
Yeah, it's definitely true. It's also worth noting that we're not really going to see too many ganks from Nasus either. This is just a jungler that likes to at least farm up, and then again, he's one of those junglers that you have when you want to do a lane swap. And I wouldn't be entirely surprised to see it here, just because Vayne is so hard to go against Draven as.
Absolutely, that was a good point to mention. Because Vayne has got such a weak early game, especially in comparison to Draven, they might be going for a lane swap here. Probably going up to the top lane, try and shut down their top laner, whereas Vayne will be allowed to free farm up there. So we'll see what the teams decide to do. We see the entire team of Beast Coast actually running up to top lane here. Looks like they might be going in for a potential invade.
I'm not entirely sure where they're going. That's not the route you normally take for an invade unless you're just really trying to sidestep wards. I would say they were looking up their the previous team games to see where Sunbeam. Sorry, I keep forgetting that new team name.
I just go with Sunbeam, yeah.
But anyway, my point is they don't have any previous games to watch to see the tendencies of that team, so they don't really know where they're going to ward or where they're going to walk. It looks like they're just going to try to catch out someone as they come up to this top lane. I mentioned a lane swap. It doesn't look like that's going down. Black Death and Naxo just still sticking around that bot lane, though. They don't really know where any of Beast is, and I'm not entirely convinced anything is actually going to happen because of this bush camp.
I feel like it'll actually just be a late blue invade. They might suspect that Black Death and Naxo are hanging out near the blue buff as a protection, waiting until they believe they're going to recall, and then probably go in for that late invade, steal away that blue buff from Nasus.
Yeah.
And we do see a lot of aggression going down here. Spike Time Sid walking down. Disparity realizes he's in trouble. Actually gets hit by the Dark Binding. Entire enemy team moving in. Clock moving in with his E. Disparity running over to the wall. Flashes over just at the last second. Looks like this will be a free blue buff going over to Beast Coast.
Yeah, and the counter invade move has come out as well. Hulk, as well as Bong of Destiny recalling, they're going to go down to that bot lane now. But the counter blue invade has begun, and it looks like they'll just be trading blues. A little slight advantage in favor of Beast just because the flash got blown on Disparity. But it shouldn't be too much of a problem because he is Zac. He does have an elastic slingshot if he really needs it. Wukong isn't really someone that can interrupt it if he needs to get away. But, like, say iBuzzy gets up there later, gets a good dredge line on them. I wouldn't really count the depth charge because the flash is going to be up by the time that ultimate is available. So,
yeah, absolutely. I do want to point out, though, Beast Coast has got an incredibly snowbally team. Morgana can get insanely ahead just by pushing the lane, occasionally getting a Dark Binding and getting a kill. Wukong is a notorious snowballer. And same with Draven. If Draven starts getting ahead in lane, it becomes a little bit of a pain to get back into it, because he just keeps getting stronger and stronger. His every time he levels up his spinning axes, it still deals a % bonus of his physical damage. And at maximum rank, I believe it's 85%. We do see iBuzzy heading up to the top lane. Blue ping going down, so I do believe they know he's here. Looks like Disparity's just going to play a little bit safe, not wanting to get too caught out, not wanting to make any too big risks.
Yeah, there was actually one little blue minion in the mass of red minions that probably spotted him out there. And not quite as sneaky as he was hoping for to get up there for a gank, but nonetheless he was spotted out. He wasn't spotted leaving, however, so Disparity is still trying to work around the assumption that he's still there. Clock going a bit aggressive on his opponent because he knows he doesn't have flash up, but Zac is just going to be able to sustain back through it. No problem.
And just trading blows in the top lane. Going to be pretty interesting to see how this lane goes. Disparity does have that innate sustain with his Cell Division passive. Every time his abilities land against anything, he can heal a percent of his max health as long as he picks it up.
I also want to point out one thing I just noticed. Never mind, we have a gank in the bot lane. Link's Dog going in.
Yeah, Link's Dog running it down here. It looks like they're just going to try and disengage. Huge amount of burst damage coming down onto Bong of Destiny. They are going to be able to get away from that just fine, though.
Right. Anyway, I was about to say, the blue buff wasn't entirely cleared when Sunbeam was going toward it earlier. They left the two little minions, and that's actually going to be quite a big hit on top of that Beast team right there. Nautilus and Morgana both are kind of a little bit blue reliant. Morgana, as long as she can keep that mana up, Tormented Soil on the ground, is able to push out waves, but she actually went back for another Doran's Ring. relatively early. I didn't even notice if she had taken a lot of harass to really need to go back.
No, she was about full health. She just wanted to go for an early recall.
Okay. Then that's probably in there. It's going to help that lack of a, or at least a late blue buff if he ends up getting that spike down. So it's going to have a little more mana regen in there with the double door and drink. It's not going to be too bad for him if he is denied blue a little bit longer.
Yeah, absolutely. I do want to point out real quick in the bot lane, just the CS scores already so early on. Vayne, 10 CS in the lead already at this point. Definitely not a position Draven wants to be in. He wants to be asserting his dominance in a lane. There's not very many AD carries who are capable of trading with a Draven in a lane, especially in the early phases of the game. So this is not a position he's looking to be in. Being pressured at his tower means he doesn't have time to go and harass Vayne. It means he's stuck at his tower farming just to keep up and farm.
That is very odd to see. The Janna is probably largely responsible for that. She's able to, especially good Jannas, are really known just to have zoning from the occasional tornado. Next, so I haven't really been paying as much attention to the bot lane, but it's...
A lot of aggression going down onto the top lane here. Clock actually getting a little bit caught out. A little bit of trading blows here, but they're actually just going to both walk away from this, let each other live, and continue back onto their farming.
Yeah, Clock, the charges on his flask are actually out by now. Disparity still has a few health potions ticking, as well as that rejuvenation bead on top of his passive. Buzzy's lurking around on here, seeing if his... Oh, now Linkstyle is actually joining the party as well. 2v2 in the top lane for now, but Clock is the one that's low.
Yeah, it looks like they're just going to try and push out this lane and back away from this. Clock just going to try and get all those minions as he can under his tower. Linkstar looks like he's going to hang around here for a little bit, maybe pick up a couple of few farm on his siphoning strike while Zac is heading back into lane.
I think he's also just trying to keep Clock annoyed to some extent. Spirit Fire was actually... Oh, we have another
pause going down from...
Anyway, Spirit Fire was used there just to keep him a little bit low, but the Clock is actually recalling now, since he actually absorbed all that, just all that experience from the giant wave there. Looks like iBuzzy is the one having a few issues here, some mouse issues he's claiming, but
yeah, it looks like apparently the mouse sensor wasn't working. They're going to be getting started here right away. Going to be getting back into this game.
And
there we go.
I don't want to talk about bugs, because I've actually had some mouse issues of my own in game recently too. But anyway, not the time to talk about that.
Alright, so let's take a look back at some items here. We actually see Zac opting to go for a Giant's Belt instead. Not looking to go for too much armor. He doesn't seem to be too afraid of losing the lane to Wukong. Wukong is one of those lanes where you don't want to be falling behind in trades. If you're falling behind in trades, he just keeps asserting his dominance over and over and over again with his EQ combo. And eventually, once he gets his ultimate, he'll just all-in you. He is level 6 now, so that could be what he's looking to do. Whereas Zac is just looking to stay as tanky as he can, making it harder for Wukong to stay ahead in trades, as he does have his Cell Division passive to keep him tanky.
Yeah, that's one thing that really no one on that team has is percent health damage. Someone like a Zac, if he's going to be building straight health, is going to be ridiculous in the middle of a fight. Or even in just the 1v1 situation. He's the one that has sustain. Clock, I mean, he does have that flask, which is nice for sustain over time. Actually, Disparity going in, they're still trading blows. I wouldn't exactly call them tanks, just like beating each other senseless. But
they're just trading blows. Disparity doing pretty good and staying relatively even in these trades, mostly due to his passive, and that is what you want to be doing against a Wukong. It's not a good thing to be falling behind, and he is staying pretty decently ahead in here. So he's doing a very good job playing this lane matchup the way it should be played.
I'm not sure I would call a 1CS advantage a lead.
Oh, we actually see a lot of aggression go down. Disparity getting hit with the ultimate. His ultimate being popped to disengage. Ignite being going drop down onto him. He will retreat back to his turret. Cell Division passive is still up, so he is going to be just fine. He's just going to farm under his tower and try and heal up a little bit more.
Yeah, that was an ultimate for a summoner. Actually, an ultimate for ult and summoner spell. Spell, not smell.
Yeah, they both burn summoner spell. No, wait, no, sorry, no. Wukong was the only one who burnt the summoner spell in there. Disparity used his ultimate to get out of there.
Yeah, they both ended up using their ultimates. Anyway, sorry.
Alright, let's take a look at this mid lane then. Morgana looks like she's actually opting for a Rod of Ages, which is an interesting build, but we've seen Spiketown Sid build this before in the past, instead of opting for that immediate Zhonya's, which is especially interesting in this lane matchup, because the armor could be extremely beneficial against the Kha'Zix.
Yeah, and as much as that was it? The Zonias should really help them. Ooh, hello.
Oh,
Link Style just
I
solo
can't believe
dragon.
I didn't even notice that. Link Style just soloing the dragon on his own. Really taking the dragon. There was absolutely no vision for either team, so Link Style getting away with a free dragon for his team.
Yeah, I didn't really see what direction he walked into there. I'm guessing he didn't walk there to Tribush where there was a ward there. But obviously, no spotted, no vision. Free 1,000 gold advantage just from that alone. Nasus really just known for those early dragons. Fury of the Sands just melts any neutral objective with a % health magic damage, and it stays up for a long time. Combine that lifesteal from his passive, the siphoning strikes, it just melts through a dragon. Easy 1v1 and easy gold. And it looks like both junglers sitting on this bottom lane. iBuzzy looking for a gank.
iBuzzy hanging around in that ward, or bush, sorry, there is no wards going down, and he actually gets caught. Naxo getting a little bit caught out, has to use his ultimate and flash away. We'll get the disengagement, but that is an ultimate and a flash burnt on Naxo.
Yeah, not the best of scenarios for them. iBuzzy, all he did was land a dredge line and got a bunch out of them right there. Actually, it ended up Bong of Destiny and, using his flash and ultimate as well on top of that. So, yeah, a lot burned, but it was pretty even on both sides. Both supports losing ultimates and flashes.
So it was a pretty decent gate coming out from iBuzzy there, getting pretty much what he was looking for. Getting a flash down is always a good thing. Might be coming back to look, or might be going back to bot lane to look for another gank. You see Spikedown Sid picking up his own blue buff now to be able to push out that lane without having to worry about mana with Tormented Soil.
And one thing I've been noticing about this top lane...
Sorry, we have a lot of regression going down on top lane. Disparity actually getting caught out again by another ultimate. Getting dropped down very low, using Let's Bounce now to take down a lot of damage. Clock trying his best to catch up. Nasus is here to try and help out. Clock is actually going to be forced to retreat. Linkstall using Ghost, trying to catch up. He's going to get the Wither down, trying to do as much damage as he can. Clock has little to no HP, trying to kite out of his turret. First blood going down to Linkstall underneath the turret.
Yeah, passive damage just from the ultimate. Really
iBuzzy trying to catch on to Linkstyle, but Linkstyle too tanky for iBuzzy, will disengage. Disparity actually lived because of Cell Division's passive, so he did get all 4 Bloblets still alive, managed to get back up, and is doing alive and well, pushing the top lane tower now.
Yeah, one thing Disparity actually failed to do during that entire engagement, he wasn't really picking up any blocks from his passive to keep healing. If he just picked up 1 or 2 from all the bouncing, he easily would have survived and kept his own passive through all of that. First Blood did end up going down in the end to the Nasus. Linkstyle getting that with his ultimate. Just by standing next to the monkey, he got the kill.
Yeah. So, we'll go back to see what everybody's trying to build here. Vayne absolutely dominating in CS in this bot lane. Definitely not something you would expect. 92 CS to 68, so pretty much a 20-something CS lead in this bottom lane. Just playing it safe. They don't look like they're trying to go too aggressive. They know they can't exactly win a 2-on-2 with the amount of damage that can come out, but more than happy to just safely farm knowing they can outscale the two of them later into the game.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're looking for. They want this passive laning phase to go on as long as possible. That just means more free farm for the Vayne, and it continues to snowball that advantage that she's already building up the longer it goes.
Absolutely, and when she manages to get out that Blade of the Rune King, she does have very strong dueling potential in a 1v1 or 2v2 scenario. Vayne is pretty notoriously known for one of the best AD carry duelists in the game. So we'll see what she decides to go out with, how aggressive they decide to go. Right now she does have her Bilgewater and her tier 2 boots with Berserker Greaves, so getting a little bit of that attack speed early on.
Yeah, and another thing we had to notice about the builds, despite the tier nerfs, we still see RDX going for that in the mid lane on that Kha'Zix. I'm guessing that's just because we see that Linkstyle has kept picking up his own blue buff, now the 3rd one to himself. And the tier is in there partially just to keep RDX at tip-top mana as much as possible. Extra regen and a larger mana pool in the end is on top of that. Looks like iBuzzy coming in for a gank.
Yeah, iBuzzy's trying to get in. RDX ready to use his lead, doesn't really have anywhere to run. Linkstyle's here trying to help out. Disparity's also in the back using Let's Bounce. Spikedown's going to drop down very low. Spikedown will pick up RDX. iBuzzy has nowhere to run. He's trying to flash away. He does flash away. Linkstyle trying to chase him down. iBuzzy will get away. That was a 1-for-1 trade there in the mid lane for both mid laners.
Yeah, one for one, both mid laners going down. I didn't actually notice where the blue buff went. Oh wait, no, there's only one blue buff, and it was on Linkstyle. I was expecting the Spiketown Sid to actually have one, but I forgot about the delayed timer from the invade at level 1. So he doesn't quite actually have it yet. So it didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, and I think the big thing in that gank was that nobody was expecting Disparity to come down from around the backside, near the Wraith camp, coming behind the Morgana. That really helped them turn tides for that gank, because otherwise that would have been 2 losses for no losses, most likely for Beast Coast. It would have come out a lot more in their favor. Instead, they did trade 1 for 1 and a couple of ultimates.
Yeah, and that was pretty quick engage. I didn't actually notice what got the kill. I think it was the second tick on Soul Shackle that picked that up. Again, Disparity caught just trading in this top lane. Again, they keep just trading even, but I want to go back to how Disparity is the one that's able to sustain back up. The only sustain Wukong currently has is consumables and extra 5 health on hit from a Doran's blade. So, really nothing in comparison to that Zac pack.
Zac has picked up his Sunfire Cape now, definitely opting to go for a more tanky armor-oriented build against this Wukong. Also has a cloth armor on the side. We'll see what he decides to pick that up with. This is definitely going to help him push out his lane a little bit faster and negate a lot of the damage that Wukong can pump out from him.
Yeah, I was expecting that giant spell that was pretty much bought on his first back to go into a War Monks because of the extra rejuve bead there. But that was probably just for the starting build. And iBuzzy in the bot lane.
Yeah, Linkstyle just taking the free dragon. And meanwhile, they don't even realize they're doing it. Natsu getting a little bit caught out. Bong of Destiny jumped down very low. Black Death will pick up a kill on him. Trying to kite around this, trying to kite around iBuzzy. Linkstyle gets a slowdown onto him. He's trying his best to escape. Trying to launch a Dreadline to somebody. Huge amount of burst damage coming down. Lands a Dreadline onto the tower, but does drop down to the Vayne.
RDX is coming around the back, looking for a pick on this Draven.
RDX dropping down his ultimate. Gaia Hulk dropping down very low. The slow coming down from Ruthless Predator. Gaia flashes away just at the last moment, trying his best to save his life. That was a 2-for-0 exchange for Sunbeam. And a Dragon.
And the turret.
And a turret. That's the first turret of the game. So that is a huge gold lead already for such an early phase in the game. 23.5k to 18k. That is huge for such an early point in this game.
And if RDX went up towards that blue buff, it would be another blue buff as well, just after all of that. Second dragon going over completely for free, just because really Beast hasn't managed to put any vision down that area. Looks like RDX wanting to go on Spiketown Sid.
Disparity here to help out a little bit. Soul Shock is being dropped down. The Spiketown Sid being taken very low. Both of them do get stunned. Disparity is able to get that tenacity. RDX does flash to finish off the kill with Taste Their Fear.
Yeah, one really good counter to the
but now Disparity is actually in a little bit of trouble. Forced a flash right over to Nautilus Hook. Exhaust being dropped down. He uses Elastic Slingshot to get away from Clock.
Yeah, slow doesn't work that great against the Zac. Kind of a wasted summoner spell there from Bong of Destiny. Unsure why he even bothered blowing that. But
they're just trying to get as much kills as they can. They're at a little bit of a phase in the game where they're trying their best to catch up as much as they can.
And I think Bong of Destiny just noticed the dragon was taken as he walked down the river. So they don't really have the time on that. iBuzzy actually now going to pick up that blue buff that's been sitting there for about a minute or two. Smites that away. No blue buff for you, Spiketown Sid. And he walks
Max
right
actually
back.
heading near to iBuzzy there. Throwing a tornado behind him. Should be able to get away just fine. Looks like Draven isn't going to come and follow up with this gank. Black Death and Max look like they're going to get away just fine. Still trying to go very hard. iBuzzy just misses Dredge Line. Black Death doing a good job juking just to the side and dodging that. But we see RDX heading down over here. There is no vision in that Tri-Brush, so they don't know he's there.
I think they were a little bit cautious. Although it was a 3v2 for Beast, they knew it was a Janna, and they didn't really want to bother engaging on it just to get knocked away.
Yeah. So we see Link's still actually aware that Wukong is heading back up top. Wukong a little bit low on health. Disparity just kind of bait this out a little bit. Wukong's ultimate being dropped down. Disparity getting dropped down very low. Link's now is on his way. Ignite going down. Clock actually getting a little bit caught out now. Dies to Siphoning Strike. That's some more free stacks for Link style. And Disparity walking away with little to no health. I think Cell Division is still up. It's not showing on my screen properly. But I do believe it is still up, so you would have survived that engagement regardless.
Yes, it is on cooldown right now.
Oh, okay. So, Ignite was also being used from Wukong there. No gain from that Ignite at all. Linkstyle just pushing out this top lane. iBuzzy here to make sure the turret doesn't fall.
Yeah, he was really hoping that the revive still wasn't available for Zac, and even though he didn't need it, he was just hoping that Ignite would finish him off. It's not just to kill him off, it also cuts that passive healing in half. He was really just banking on to get the kill, but then a wild Nasus appeared and he wasn't able to get that.
Yeah, so a gank turned sour there. Looks like Spiketown Sid trying to get a gank down. Disparity is hanging around the side of Spiketown Sid, taking a lot of damage. Ultimate being dropped down from RDX. Spiketown will drop down while using Soul Shackles. iBuzzy trying to run away. Clock is hanging around the side. Looks like they're just going to run away from that, not wanting to get caught down by Clock.
Yeah, they burst down that Morgana even before the Soul Shackles stun could land. Very good focus, and it got him a free kill out of it. The turret's quiet yet. RDX is a little too low to push by now.
And this is what I wanted to point out though, is that now Morgana's just got her Seekers, now she's going for that Zhonya's Hourglass. Whereas if she's had it all this time, she might have been able to survive a lot of these engagements, as her team was pretty much right by her side when all of these engagements happened, but she was dying too quickly for them to save her.
Yeah, I'm surprised she waited this late, just even to get the Seekers. If you don't complete the full Zhonyas, it's at least worth it to get the Seekers kind of early, just because of the matchup you're in. Really, everyone except Disparity right now is putting out physical damage. RDX especially, if your lane opponent is all physical. I mean, there's a little bit of magic damage on Kha'Zix, but it's not enough to be concerned with. If everyone's putting out physical damage apart from the top laner, it's a really good idea just to build that and rush it early. It looks like Beast is looking for a dragon, but because they don't have the timer on it, I don't actually believe it spawns for another minute or so. Actually, yeah, just about exactly 1 minute until the respawn.
Another thing to point out about Morgana's ultimate with the Zhonyas now is that on top of all the burst damage that's coming out from Sunbeam, they have a lot of potential to just push her away. Vayne can condemn her out. Zac can just use his ultimate and kind of, I'm sure he doesn't really mind taking a little bit of damage for his team. They don't seem to really mind jumping into Soul Shackles because they know they can finish her off before she has a chance to really finish it off herself. And so it's putting herself in a really risky situation to be jumping into the enemy team with Soul Shackles to try and get the lockdown.
And that's exactly what you have with the Black Shield as well. On top of that, it prevents the CC from knocking you away, which is why they're knowing to focus her down with damage first, not so much crowd control. Spiketown Sid has actually been on top of using that shield before anyone focuses any crowd control. And it's kept him in the fight, but it hasn't really kept him alive because it's all physical damage. The shield doesn't really block any damage, it's just preventing crowd control.
See a lot of aggression going down once again. Spiketown Sid forced to flash. Those are dark binding behind her. RDX taking a lot of damage. iBuzzy coming in, getting knocked out by the tornado. iBuzzy taking a huge amount of damage from Taste of Fear. He was isolated at that point.
Meanwhile, in the Dragon Pit, we see Link Style soloing it again. But the rest of his team does rotate down this time, finally, to help him out. Or
that
not.
Is the third dragon now for Sunbeam. No contest coming out for all three of them from East Coast. Yeah, Draven getting a little bit caught out here. Gaia Hall taking a huge amount of damage. RDX doing humongous burst damage with Taste Their Fear, dropping him almost instantly.
Yeah, that was like an instant crit on top of the active for Blade of the Ruined King. Dropped him down to half. The rest was just cleanup from Kha'Zix, and that was a very dead Draven. Very out of position, not really any vision to keep himself safe with all that pushing. Since the third time. Now we have
checking out this blue punch. Bonga Destiny taking a huge amount of damage. iBuzzy trying to initiate the fight. Crescendo being dropped down across. Link's now picking up the kill. RDX hanging around the back. Disparity using let's bounce around the back. Clock managing to get away. iBuzzy has nowhere to run, taking huge amounts of burst damage. Morgana being dropped down over to the side by Nasus, and that was a 3-for-0 exchange.
That would be a 4-for-0 if you count the Draven, but now the second tier turret is going out. Actually, the second of the game, both in the bot lane. RDX
almost low. Dropping to the Draven ultimate there.
Yeah, we're on death. Just a little bit of a late Janus shield there as well, but he lived anyway. Link Style taking the blue up for himself and just walking out.
Sorry, I'm getting a little bit of delay on my own game here. Just trying to fix that up. So, let's take a look at the gold here. This is a humongous advantage for such an early point in the game. 35 points. Actually, we see Clock getting a little bit caught out here. Black Death trying to do his best. Veil flashes over the wall, has nowhere to run. Link Style will pick that up with Siphoning Strike.
Yeah, that Wukong is way behind right now. 202 CS Fade over the actually 145 CS Draven. That's huge. I mean,
yeah, that is a humongous lead. Definitely not a position Draven is looking to be in at any point in the game.
And remember, the CS advantage was another pause. Anyway, the CS advantage was there before there was even really any kills. First blood didn't happen until 11 minutes in, yet Black Death had, I would say, at least a 20 to 30 CS lead by then, probably even more, especially since it's up to 60 by now. But yeah. Giant lead before any kills happen. I mean, that's only one death on Draven. That was the one that he got caught out there after that third dragon went down, and they're really just snowballing their lead from now. It's up to 12,000 gold, 3 dragons, 3 turrets, and a heck of a lot of kills and farm in favor of Sunbeam here.
Yeah, they're just constantly applying their pressure, looking to where they can rotate next, just take down more towers, and constantly be a nuisance, not letting Beast Coast farm at all, just constantly making them chase them around the map so that they can defend their own towers.
What do you think that Beast Coast is... not Beast Coast. Yeah, it is Beast Coast, dang it. Friggin' names.
Yeah,
what do you think they need to get back in this game?
They're gonna need, you know, it's almost at that point where it's gonna be ridiculously hard to come back. A gold lead this early is substantial. It is huge. But it's definitely, like, the amount of CC they have, if they can combo things properly, if Morgana can get that Zhonya's Hourglass out as soon as possible, maybe if they force fights in their own jungle where there's almost no escape, they might be able to win a couple fights, maybe even just get a couple of kills. That's all they really need. They just need to be picking couple people off here and there.
And yeah, they really need to get some shutdown gold as well. 5-0 Nasus, 3-0 Vayne, a 3-1 Kha'Zix. I don't remember when that death was. It was in the 1-for-1 exchange, so I'm not sure too much of a shutdown goal on that kill. But yeah, they need to do that. They need to... I haven't really seen a whole lot of vision coming out of either team so far. Now, especially with the oracles on Naxo, any vision that Bong of Destiny has been putting out has just been cancelled again.
Yeah, they're doing their best to deny any vision even in their own jungle. They want to dominate this map. They want them to be scared to leave their own base so that they can keep applying pressure. And it's making it extremely difficult for Beast Coast to even have a chance of coming back. But they're remaining hopeful, and you never know, things do happen. RDX just barely dodging the dredge line there. Linkstyle just freely pushing top lane though. This could be an engagement they could go into. RDX getting caught out by the snare. Spiketown Sid just putting down a little bit of damage. iBuzzy going in. Tornado will pouch him back. iBuzzy still trying to go in as hard as he can. Black Shield is on. They're just going to back away from it. Nasus still pushing out the top lane though.
Yeah, and that's a Nasus with about 250 extra damage on the Siphoning Strike right now. He isn't necessarily melting turrets because he hasn't itemized for it as much, but he is definitely doing a ton of damage to him. iBuzzy
Flash coming down, iBuzzy actually taking a lot of damage. Crescendo going on across the entire team. RDX coming around the side, Gaia Hill kills down Naxo. Disparity using Let's Bounce. Clock doing a lot of damage. Lockdown doing his best to kite around the side. Spiketown Sid dropping down his ultimate. Lots of damage coming down. Doesn't quite kill him. Barrier will keep him alive. Blackdeath doing an amazing kite, some amazing kiting coming down from Vayne. Absolutely incredible Vayne mechanics coming down. And that is an ace for Sunbeam 4v5.
Yeah, they're ahead right now. I guess that goes without saying. Linkstyle, meanwhile, has been solo pushing his top lane. He started at the outer turret, hasn't left lane since, and he's been alone, and now he's on the inhibitor turret, taking that down. Possibly even the inhibitor as well. He has another 5 to 10 seconds on all of the members for Beast, and he should be able to finish that off with the Siphoning Strikes.
Yeah, it looks like he's just going to be able to get that inhibitor. Wukong heading over there to try and stop him. Same with Draven, but I don't think he really minds at all. Just going to freely take this inhibitor and walk away by the looks of it. No, it looks his team is a little bit too far away to help him out, but he's doing huge burst damage to Nasus. Actually drops down to the Nasus. Clock being forced to run away. Bong of Destiny trying to assist him the best he can. Linkstyle doing huge amounts of damage. Just 1v3 saying, I don't care, come at me. You're doing huge damage to Clock. Clock trying to get back to the fountain. Huge amounts of damage. Linkstyle is godlike, killing him just in front of his fountain. Bong of Destiny trying to catch up. iBuzzy is here. He's gonna just turn out to Bong of Destiny. A lot of damage coming out, and he will fall to Nautilus.
A 7-1 Nasus that hasn't even built damage. He has all tank items, the Locket, the Bulwark, Spirit of the Ancient Golem, and now a Warbox for nothing. That... I'm surprised he hasn't built any damage, like an Iceborne Gauntlet at least, just to make sure he can keep dealing that out. Because he's surviving. He just 1v3'd and got 2 kills. And I'm honestly surprised he's still building straight tank. Just because the team is so far ahead right now, the more damage threats, the better. And they don't even need to build any more tankiness. The Bulwark Locket is more than enough.
Another free dragon going down for Sunbeam.
Bong of Destiny caught out.
That's Bong of Destiny getting a little bit caught out. Disparity doing quite a fair bit of damage. RDX is here though. Q finishes her off. Gaia is a little bit tight spot here. Trying to run away, gets condemned against a wall. Lots of damage. Exhaust being used. Disparity will pick up the kill on that.
Yeah, a lot of kills going over to the tanks now. The 7-1 Nasus, 5-0 Zac. Vayne isn't necessarily hurting for gold with a now 100 CS lead over Draven. I don't like to call games hopeless, but it's a 20,000 gold lead pretty much. Black Death is just all over the place. He's fed. Disparity is fed. RDX is melting everyone in sight that he can get on top of. I want to keep you updated on those skills as well. It looks like he's evolved. Yeah, everything but the spike rack, just like we told.
Disparity jumping into the fight there. RDX doing a huge amount of burst damage to Clock. Clock using his ultimate. Disparity chasing him down. Let's bounce being used. Link style just hanging around with Black Death there, making sure he doesn't fall. Black Death chasing him into their own fountain. Got you, Hulk takes a huge amount of damage. Diving into the fountain. They don't even care. They're so ahead. It looks like they're just going to back away from this. Black Death taking a Dark Binding. Clock trying to go back in. Black Death doing a lot of damage. Black Death flashing away from the Soul Shackles. They're fixing their eyes on the Nexus turret. Fixing their eyes now on the Nexus. Sunbeat or Beast Coast trying their best to keep them away. Clock using his clone. They're doing everything they can. They're focusing down the Nexus. RDX being taken very low. Black Death keeping them away from the Nexus. It's dropping low. The Monsoon is coming out from Naxo, just keeping his team healthy. Clock doing lots of damage to RDX, and that is game for Sunbeam.
Sunbeam Dream Team taking this game. Yeah, I believe this is still in the winners bracket actually. So they've gone 2-0 so far. I take that back. 1-0. The first team was a forfeit.